Question is, King's Pride, is it for sale? Yes, she is for sale, or will be. The boat will be auctioned off after it's finished at the end of the school year, and somebody's going to get a great deal. We don't know how much money yet. Keep an eye on the cost spreadsheet. We have to get back at least the cost for parts. We might make a little bit of money for our effort, but nobody gets into the refit business to make money. We're in the business of education, so it's the price of doing business. So I think somebody's going to get a great deal on an awesome boat. People are asking, how do I get involved and how do I see it? Well, at the end of the interview, we talk about Cruisers College. So many of you have watched my boat show video on an electrical troubleshooting. So we actually have a program that we started called Cruisers College here at the school, because what people really have wanted is the hands-on stuff. And we've been doing this for 5-6 years. Do-it-yourself electrical and do-it-yourself diesel and lots of topics, weather and all sorts of things. So those are open to the public. They cost money, and we have the website cruiserscollege.org. But the idea is you come to Anacortes, and we do it this one weekend a month. And if you don't live here, don't discard. We have had participants from Anchorage, Colorado, Portland, all over the place, as far away as I think Georgia. So we have a great maritime town in the Pacific Northwest. Is awesome. So you can plan a weekend away, take some classes, you can see King's Pride, go look at boats, kick some boat stands, enjoy our little town. You can find out information, cruiserscollege.org, look at classes. And now let's just get to the interview with Jacob and Hailey. All right. Here we are, we got Jacob and Hailey, and we did some touring of the boat, and it is horribly windy out there, and it is a train wreck. But you guys have been interested in the project, and I promised you the first kind of public tour.
Yeah,
so
excited.
Long-time followers. So tell me a little bit about you guys. First of all, you're looking at boats, and you've made big changes in your lives, and I think our viewers kind of want to know who's out there looking to buy boats.
Awesome. So yeah, like Mike said, we've been following this project since it started. I think Jacob's been
over a year following the project, and I think 2 or 3 years. I was looking at the email stamps the other day, and I think it's 2 or 3 years since I first emailed Mike Beamer. So, like, almost old friends at this point, or old annoyances, one of the two.
But yeah, I've been following the project because our goal for about 7 years now has been to move aboard a boat. So for about 7 years, we've been working towards saving up, learning, doing some of that research towards being able to move aboard a boat. And that's why we had just such exciting interest in what you guys are doing with King's Pride. Getting to see the project unfolding as we were doing a lot of our own learning, as we were doing a lot of our own planning for this adventure that we have, has just been really cool. And
yeah, so it's, specifically we want to do a lot of sailing, a little bit of blue water, a lot of just along the west coast, with some Alaska and Hawaii thrown in there. And so, figuring out over the last few years, figuring out what are our criteria for a boat, and what is it like to live on and work on and maintain a boat. Good resources stick, and the videos here and the contact with SVCC has been such a good learning opportunity. And it just happens that the standards for what we wanted for a boat exactly meet the design of King's Pride and most of Bob Berry's designs, honestly. And so it's just been invaluable kind of watching the project unfold.
Yeah, we have been. We were emailing before the King's Pride, I think, about possibilities of being students. You got to meet students over the last couple of days, and you've seen some of our students that have taken off and cruised, and we're definitely about training technicians. That's our goal, but we've got these projects, and they're going to benefit somebody down the road to make their sailing adventures come true.
Right. And where else are you going to see, Bob Perry live on his boat that he designed, or, a conference with John Neal and get all the details on his next seminars and all that? Like, it's been a good hub of information.
Super. Well, and that's our goal. We are a community college, and you guys are now part of the community, and you actually being in Washington State worked out really well for you.
It was
right?
perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Well, and you asked a little bit about kind of like where we're at and what we're up to these days. Yeah. And so, like I said, we've been working towards this goal for about 7 years, which is why we're so excited to see you guys working on King's Pride and to get to see that project. Where we're kind of at right now is we both just quit our jobs. We've sold our home, and we've made moving onto the boat like the near-term goal instead of the long-term. We're talking about this goal. And so we've been road tripping for a little while, getting to see family and friends we couldn't see before COVID vaccines, and now are working pretty hard towards making the live aboard dream come true. And so that's kind of where we're at with our adventure, and why we're so excited to see King's Pride, really moving along in her adventure too.
We have, hopefully we would have had King's Pride ready to sell, but everything in education takes, and you have taught before, it takes twice as long to explain it and to help and to do, but it's very rewarding.
Absolutely.
We will get it done eventually, and this next spring, about 6 months out, we're making great progress now. And now we got students again. We're back in season 2, and we really got some energy, and we're excited about that.
But I think part of, it's taking longer than anticipated, but getting to watch the videos and getting to hear your explanation of every project and why decisions are being made and maybe why a project is taking longer. Like, as a person who's not a technician, that gives me a greater understanding of the thought and the time that goes into any project. It's like, oh, okay, this person doesn't have control over the time of this because these things pop up, or because they're taking the time to think about these decisions that, like, I would want someone to think about in working on a project. You know what I mean? Like, I think it helps us as viewers truly understand, like, the work that you're putting into it, getting to see those decisions being made,
and understanding more what boat life is like, what maintaining a boat is like, and what as we've started kind of looking at boats, being able to realize what is serviceable and what is livable and what is just looks pretty, and what's boat show purchase versus like gonna go sail around the world purchase. Like, what are the differences there?
Yeah, and it's a big difference. And so I think you're in a good spot, especially now that you don't have to go to work every morning like tomorrow or something, but to be able to look at lots of boats and go through them. So well, I know there's a couple of criteria. Jacob, you're kind of tall, and we've had I was telling you the story, cruising Maya, and their 37-footer Alberg was old. He had to cut a hole to extend for his feet. So what did you think up there on King's Pride?
Yeah, I was really impressed. I mean, if you look at sailboat data or whatever, I think it says the headroom's like 6'5", but test one. Fit.
Close, yeah. You for sure fit here, but the galley, look at that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. So you guys ripped it.
That's good. What's that?
What's the tank up here?
Water.
Okay.
So we're working on water tanks, and we'll get to that. So the bed was originally a single, and we had a shipwright add this to make it a double. And then where you're sitting, there's going to be another step in here, and this is going to get cut curved. Okay. So it's like a little seat. So you can get up in the middle of the night to go on watch. You can put your shoes on and grab your folly out of the closet here. And
right on.
I like that it's angled and not just a V-berth.
Well, and that's why I think I measured it. You asked me. I think from here to the corners is 6'4", but you got to lay in there and figure it out.
Yeah. I don't have to worry about getting the cushions all dirty with my shoes.
No, not yet. That can go. That's our old engine height check.
Oh yeah, look at that. So I'm 6'3", but we got room. We got room to
can make it work. So yeah, that is definitely our goal. Is to have it simple and have it to where you don't have to have the latest and greatest. We just want stuff that's reliable, and we're still waiting for data to come in and see what the problems are and with lithium, and so I think we're going to stick with tried and true.
Yeah.
For every system that we can.
And the cool thing about King's Pride is all the decisions you're making are very well thought out and very well reasoned, and so even things that are maybe not personally what I think I would really like, it's like, well, it's hard to argue with the logic for what you're building the boat for, right? going on to things that we did really like, I really liked the amount of light in there and the space. It was very open, and those windows, especially on the forward cabin there, just give you so much light and air, and it doesn't feel claustrophobic in there at all, which is really cool.
I don't think I've ever seen windows on the forward part of the cabin.
The front edge
like that. Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, not on a sailboat at least.
Yeah.
There's a few raised pilot house, quote, in between, not a pilot house, but raised decks salons that have that, and so I think Bob was ahead of his time.
I think, and it's those little things like that I really like too, that you can tell you are making it from the perspective of someone's going to live on this boat. So there's like creature comforts that need to exist, and someone's going to have to work on the boat. So the lighting, you showed us up in the V-berth, the seat that you're going to make for a little cutout for someone to sit down and be able to like put their fallies on, before going out on watch, having those little spaces that make it feel like a home, and not always, everything on a boat is a compromise, but not always as much of a compromise, where you have the engine so that you can work on it. The way you're setting up, I think the sink over the engine is so cool, just in terms of being like kind of protected in that galley area on all three sides. Like those are the things that stood out to me in terms of I really like this thought process, because it's made for someone to live on a boat. It's not made for going out and just entertaining every once in a while. Those little pieces that, as we think about making a boat a home, it has to be a boat first. It has to be able to sail and float and
that's our criteria.
Get you where you want to go, but it also needs to be a home. Even with compromises, it has to feel like a livable space. And I think that's the things that I liked most looking down there, is like, oh, this feels like a livable space.
And we poked fun at the galley being on the wrong side, and that, obviously has its downfall. Stepping on the fridge is not an ideal thing, but having easy access to the galley when you're actually sailing is nice. And
we like food.
Yeah, and having to go through the galley to get to the quarter berth probably isn't ideal either, right? Maybe it would be preferable. I haven't put too much more thought into that, but it's like Art's saying about compromises and trade-offs, whatever you guys were mentioning, it's all boat is, right?
That sure is. That's everything is, Art, compromises and bad decisions. But we sure love them.
Yeah.
We work on boats. We have all these projects and beyond this one, and we've done many, many of these projects. So
one other thing, like this doesn't go to the boat quite as much, but as what you guys are doing just with the community around it. Like you said, I used to be a teacher, and so just from the perspective of how many people you are engaging on this project, you have the students who are going to college here, but then you're also bringing in high schoolers to work on it. Like the amount of people who get to learn on and have pride in this project, that's something I really like about it too. Just because community is important, right? And because you're spreading a greater understanding of what goes into sailing and what goes into making a boat, and like the importance of those things. Like that's another thing that I think is not just from the like, oh, I could live on this boat kind of idea, but just from the perspective of like, oh, I like this about this boat, is how many people are a community around it. I really like that about it.
Yes, we are blessed. Not only in our school, but our maritime town here in Anacortes, and all the support we get for the project. We have people already donating stuff for a sail away package,
That's so exciting.
Some extra stuff, and so it is we know there's going to be some challenges when we go to sell it, and auction it off type of thing, just because like we don't have like nice upholstery in it, but whoever buys it gets to pick what kind of fabric you want.
Right.
You can visualize and understand the cost estimate, I think, of what some new cushions are going to cost and look like.
Right.
And a new sail cover. We have one for a pattern, but it's tattered, and I don't want to put brown canvas up if somebody else really wanted green. And so it won't be a turnkey boat. It'll be somebody can make it, like you said, home.
Yeah.
Like here's the stuff that I'm going to add that's going to make it personal to me, whoever the buyer is. And so we're excited about that. I'm hoping whoever does it, now that we've been filming, we're in our second season and learning about this aspect of documenting a story, is we're hoping whoever takes off, it's going to come with a GoPro, and we want them to send footage back of like, look at this, this really worked, And even there might be some stuff of like, I don't know what you knuckleheads were thinking. This doesn't work, you know.
That's a learning moment right there, though.
Teachable moments.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good job putting in the old school packing gland. I'm already having to replace it, something like that.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting for us, hopefully, to follow. And and some people do want privacy and want their own home, so they may just sail off into the sunset. I've had multiple students do that and haven't heard from them again. So, which is okay. Everybody's unique.
Yeah. I think the story is important, though.
Yes. Can't wait to interview Jennifer and get the whole history of the King family. That's coming up sometime the next month.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's really exciting.
That's something we've wondered about too, because it was a one-owner boat, right? 1980 was when he got the kit, but then it took him however long to finish it and put it in the water. So there's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of
there.
history there, and we're gonna get that out for and some pictures of building, and so it'll be just part of the story. Putting this boat back out on the ocean.
That'd be really fun.
So cool. And it'll be cool that you guys, it sounds like when you're done with it, you're planning on, getting some of your crew and people out on it and to enjoy it a little bit before it sails away.
Yeah, absolutely. We are definitely taking it for a test sail. More than one, I guarantee you.
Weekend-long test sail,
Yeah,
maybe?
we definitely
Into the
are.
San Juans?
We're sailor types, and we definitely like being out, so it'll be fun to see. And we're excited to see how the new engine and drivetrain and prop and how that pushes the boat and things like this that
That new 4-blade prop you were telling us about.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, that can move. Back to the engine, you know more about engines than I do anyways. I'm going to be a step behind in learning how to work on the engine. But just knowing where it is so that we can work on it, that accessibility piece is super exciting.
Yeah.
That's another thing, in terms of things I liked about the boat, thing I keep coming back to in my brain is you can see the engine, you can work on it.
Yeah, and I've watching all the videos is another thing that's I haven't worked on boats, but I've done a little bit on cars, and I grew up riding dirt bikes and stuff, so I have some basic mechanical skills, and so I've kind of very quickly related to oil, yeah, okay, you got to change this, and that's been really helpful to see where it is and what your thought process is, and yeah, coming from just a little bit farther down the step there, it's spurred a lot of good conversations between us of what is this? Why
You're
do you
what
need
is this? Or I'm what is this thing? Yeah.
Why do you have this separate system? Or
Yeah.
So even just talking about having to bleed the air out of it if you suck air, and the stripping port that you guys are adding in via John Neal's advice, and I don't think we've seen that in any boats we've looked at, and the common sense behind it just seems unbeatable. So
well, we hope so. And hopefully we're helping lots of people as they look at boats and inspection ports and stripping, just the fuel system. There's some criteria that we need to know, and it goes through every system that we're designing and hopefully making it right. That's our goal. So
on the topic of the stripping port, I had a question about, we were talking a little bit about the heating of the boat, and you're saying you're not sure if you guys are going to put in a diesel heater, or if you're going to leave that for the next owners. It depends on what they're doing and how they want to set it up. But I'm assuming that if the stripping port's set up, all they have to do is tee off that to run a line to whatever system they want to put in.
Yes.
If they do.
Yeah, it definitely has. We actually have an extra port right off the main tank.
So you've done the hard part. I'm assuming getting that installed is the worst part of the project, probably.
Yes, and we've cleaned up the lazarette, and so there's space to put in a furnace. There's we talked about electronics navigation. That's another thing where somebody really has to have Furuno and somebody has to have Simrad, and so we're not putting that up. Whoever gets the boat is going to have solid bones. It's going to be serviceable and safe, and they'll be just like picking the fabric for the mainsail cover. You're going to pick whatever kind of electronic navigation stuff you want, or some people are real minimalist. They want maybe they're going to use a sextant, go old school.
Go celestial, yeah.
So we'll see, so there's some things down the road that'll be exciting for us as staff to see as it becomes that home and, goes out in the ocean, to see how it goes from where we get it, that nice solid foundation to the next step, so. Yeah.
So you said as staff, I know school's starting soon, so in terms of steps forward on King's Pride, kind of what's up first, what's next?
Yeah, so our viewers, you're going to be looking at a whole series. We're basically weather tight on the deck. That was our goal because we're going to take the shrink wrap off.
Okay.
We need to in order to put the mast on. And so, we got this beautiful new mast. It's all wired, new wiring, new standing rigging. And so our rigging class starts next week. So the mast is going to go on and all the, start fitting the boom and servicing all the winches and all of that stuff is going to be happening on deck. So we got one of our crew and remember, every project is tied to a class.
Yeah.
And so that's rigging class this fall. And so all our rigging students will do that. And then we'll reheat shrink it again. We're going to work on, doing some, we have a lot of side jobs for students. If they're in between, if it's not technical, like we're going to try and get the varnish stripped off.
Okay.
That's peeling and sand out the teak and maybe even start to refinish it. But then the next thing is finishing up the engine and the fuel system. So the engine is there. We got to trim the shaft to length and get it machined yet. And, install fuel tank, the second one, system. So we want the propulsion to be done.
You want that ready?
That'll be ready.
Okay.
And Art's taking the lead on that.
Nice.
Matt's taking the lead because he's one of the co-teachers for rigging, and with Quinn from our local rigging shop here. And then I'm going to take the lead on plumbing. So we're going to put in a hot water heater, some more. We were talking about water storage and water tanks. We're going to sort that out. The holding tank, subsequent plumbing for all that stuff. So we're going to get the plumbing knocked out. We did a lot of the through hull work until we ran out of parts in the spring. And so we're close on that. And then after the winter break or winter holiday, in January, we'll have all of our students will have been through the electrical class. And so then the last big thing to tackle is going to be the electrical system, which we've done with Nigel Calder. We have a design, we know. In fact, Victron was here today with their open boats. Give them a shout out as open truck, I guess. And we got to see all their products. We're going to order all that stuff and put it in during January, February timeline. Subsequent to change, of course. But
yeah.
And then
to boat time,
don't try
right?
to
The boat
explain
timeline.
boat time. And then we've got we're working on the propane locker and putting a new propane stove and a sniffer and making a safe propane system. And we'll document how to test that. Not only us for initial, but annually for safety for boat owners.
Great.
And then of course a mountain of detail of putting trim back in and putting the boat back together and getting all the spare parts organized for the new owner that we're, those kind of things.
That you showed us, a whole bin of spare parts that'll be ready.
A whole cart full
full
of stuff. That looks great.
A lot of backup pieces for it, which is great. Yeah.
And that's our goal. Sometime May, June, we're gonna have it buffed and waxed, and we're gonna put the new floor down in it, new sole, and then the staff gets to use it for a while, and it'll be an open auction probably. And so while it's open and taking bids, we'll just go out and sell the heck out of it.
Just because that's gonna help show people what they're getting, right? You have to sell it.
You gotta bring one of the people bidding out on a
on a sea trial, so make sure it feels good.
Yeah. Then they'll bid more.
That's right.
Maybe we shouldn't tell you that.
Yeah. But that's our plan. It's going to be a fun year. We've got a couple other boat projects going on as well. So.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah, we're finished. Okay. We're got an aluminum boat in the shop. We're finishing all the wiring on that. We've got our sport fish boat that we're still working on, and so it's all about boats for us.
That's that makes sense as a marine tech space. Yeah.
So as hopefully future boat owners, we've talked a lot about this project and your program here at SVCC. The other thing I'm moderately aware of is that you also have a Cruisers College, which is where the link, all the King's Pride stuff is on the Cruisers College website. So can you just tell us more about that and what the timelines for that stuff is? Yeah, absolutely.
We have about 12 classes published, I think, today. They're not on the website yet, but we've lined up all of our instructors for fall. So we do teach boat, so you guys are perfect examples. We use the facility not only for a high school program and a college program, but we do weekends, one weekend a month. where we do training for a variety of topics, like radar for collision avoidance and tides and currents and
Oh, cool.
do-it-yourself diesel. So you guys have been like bummed you haven't been able to take like a 12-week diesel course from us because it didn't fit in your timeline.
Yep.
But Matt does it all day, you know, like a 6 to 7 hours of what does a boat owner need to do to keep that engine running like it should be and maintained. And so we do those all year, 1 weekend a month. And so we'll have those published pretty soon. And thanks for bringing that up. And of course, what I like about King's Pride is I'm the money guy, so I have that spreadsheet of expenses, which is growing out of hand. But that, I mean, that's part of why we're sharing the story too, is that everything costs, you know, more than you think. Whether you pull it in the boatyard, you're paying a yard to do it, or yourself, it's not unlike any other project where, it can get expensive.
Even the guy who does it trains people how to do it for a living still had to change the budget a few times.
Yes. Exactly. So
it gives us a greater understanding of like the moments that we don't need to feel like our hair's caught on fire, right? Like it's like, okay, things are taking longer. Okay, that's what projects do, you know? Like, oh, okay, this might cost more than we expect. Okay, that's what projects. And like I have a very planner brain, and so those things that aren't expected, like sometimes my hair does catch on fire over that. And so it's a nice reminder of like getting to see that in your thought process, and it's a nice reminder of like, oh, this is how it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
Which is really good.
Yeah. And once again, just going back to the, you know, SVCC as a hub for info, you know, I mean, we found, it was through you guys, we found out about the online John Neal seminar, and we did that, which was just, it was just 2.5 days of just, you know, trying to take information from a fire hose, but it was lovely, you know.
Yeah, we are working on some other online deliveries for people who can't get here, but on the Cruisers College thing, if you want to get an award for being furthest away, you've got to overcome a little bit. We've had people come for the weekend out of Alaska and out of Colorado, East Coast. They just found out that we have a great little town and what a nice little mini holiday to come and take classes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of a fun little thing that we do. And of course, if you want to see King's Pride, I hate to tell you guys, you're not the only ones that get to see it.
I'm sure we're not.
You're not just going to save it just for us? Yeah.
So if you come for a Cruisers College weekend, we'll have open boat tours, and you can always email me and set stuff up. I'll let you know what days are open for public tours. So you just can't stop by the school. We're busy teaching people, but we'll have some openings for others like yourselves that want to come and see the boat.
It's fun to see the boat too. It's so different seeing it in person than seeing it in your videos. Like in your videos, particularly since you're focusing on projects, like it looks like a construction zone. You know what I mean? In person, it looks like a sailboat. So getting to see it in person and see like, oh, okay, I can picture myself standing in this galley, you know, standing or like sitting at this dinette. It looks and feels like a sailboat when you're on it in person.
A lot better, just depth of understanding and getting to touch and feel, and yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think this has been great. I always love to chat about boats.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for being on all those emails and saying we want to get up there and making it happen. And you know, we're going to be in touch. I'm sure maybe you'll come back in 3 months and do a checkup on us and see if we're doing what we said we were going to do.
You know, we'll hold you to that now. Yeah.
Honestly, one of those Cruisers College events is probably going to be next on the list for us. The hands-on is what we need to get, so we'll be looking at that.
All right. Well, I'll get it published soon.
There we go.
And thank you so much for taking time out of your day to do this with us, and even just answering all my annoying emails and doing what you do. Love it.
It's all right. We'll keep it up. You know, for everybody out there, if you know, we need technicians. Every boat yard and boat builder are just constantly after us, and that is our main goal. So it might not be you're watching this, but if you know somebody that wants training, tell them to get a hold of me, because this is what we do. So it's a fun place. So thanks for watching.